Hey, we're live. We are here. We are on Facebook. And we're live throughout the cosmos, I guess. That's what they say. Frankly, not a lot of people watch it, but that's okay. I have fun, and the people that do give me good feedback. So there we go. Good morning. This is Tim Patterson. Trade Show Guy. It's Trade Show Guy Monday Morning Coffee for July 2nd, 2017. I'm Tim Patterson, author of Trade Show Success, 14 Proven Steps to Take Your Trade Show Marketing to the Next Level, blogger at TradeshowGuyBlog.com, and owner and founder of Trade Show Guy Exhibits, project management company, exhibit company out of Oregon. You know, I was thinking, yes, I wrote that book to self-publish the Trade Show Success, but, you know, I did a book before that, which was self-published, very small. The current one is on Amazon. You can just buy it. It was self-published. It was nothing wrong with that. The other one I just self-published and printed up like 50 copies and gave it away. So I guess I could say that's my second book. But also, if you go back, I did an ebook back about 2008 or 9. It's been a long time, called 101 Rules of Trade Show Marketing, which was downloaded. I promoted it like crazy for, years, and at one count it was downloaded over 5,000 times, and it's still out there somewhere. So what's going on here in the Trade Show Guy world? Well, I spent a couple days walking the floor at IFT in Las Vegas a week ago. This morning I woke up there to walk almost 14 miles that day through the trade show, through Las Vegas, down to Mandalay Bay from the Sands and Harrah's and all that stuff. The International Food Technologists Trade Show. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think it's got around 30 or 40,000 attendees and over 1,000 exhibitors. So it's a pretty decent-sized trade show. Not as big as the one that I go to every year in March, which is the Natural Products Expo West with over 3,500 exhibitors and, 70,000 plus attendees. But the IFT is pretty big, and a lot of the exhibitors are the same exhibitors. I should say there's some crossover. There's certainly a lot of people that go to Expo that do not go to IFT and vice versa, but there is some crossover. So some observations regarding the show and its exhibitors, just kind of my first time walking through. I've never been to the show. 3-day show, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. A lot of international exhibitors there, including South America, the Far East, and Europe, although the bulk, of course, were from the USA. But I'm always curious how much business comes out of the show for companies from, you know, say China or South America. There were a lot of exhibitors bunched together by country. Some of them had visitors. A lot of them had a lot of visitors. Others seemed to be kind of looking for people to come through. So, but interestingly enough, when they opened the doors, I walked immediately through the hall all the way to the far side, and there weren't many people there for at least an hour or two. And in fact, I talked to some exhibitors that said, yeah, it kind of took a while for people to get over there. And I went back and forth several times. And I thought, well, okay, that's because all the food sampling is over at where you first go in. So anyway, what else did I see in booths? I saw really big monitors. I kept noticing monitors on the size of 60 to 70, 72 inches. That they're big. They're very prevalent. You see lots of them all over the place. The challenge, though, interestingly enough, is to keep a program playing at all times. I saw a number of monitors, took a couple of pictures of some technical snafus that were kind of funny. So maybe I'll post those as some later blog post. You know, you just got to shake your head. Someone's not paying attention. I did talk to a gentleman about it. We started talking about what they had, the program they had on their monitor. And he was just curious of what I thought about it. And I said, well, you know, I see the program. It's very nice. It looks good. I can hear some music. And I'm not sure if I hear someone talking. There's a lot of ambient noise in a trade show. And I said, what I would do if there's a script, someone narrating, I would put all that in closed captions so that the sound is going to get lost. But that would give people a chance to actually see what is being said if you close caption. He goes, oh, that's a good idea. I'm going to do that. Virtual reality. If you read the blog post I did earlier in the week, last week, about the show, I had some Trade Show Guy exhibit awards. I mentioned VR. Now, I have only experienced VR a few times, so I'm not very familiar with it. I kind of know what it does. I wasn't impressed, frankly, with what I saw. The challenge is to come up with a program that's worth the investment. And last year we had a guy on from, I think, Foundry 45 that does some VR stuff and programming. And it's actually fairly expensive to do a custom program. And I get that because it takes a lot of time and thought to put that together. So what can you put in there that is engaging once someone puts on the headset and the headphones? What I saw was not all that engaging. And so I think that is the big challenge with VR, is to have something there. So I'm kind of wondering, how effective will virtual reality ever be in a trade show setting? Also, I look for interactivity in booths, because I think that can really draw people. But it kind of depends, I guess. I was walking by some booths. There were certainly some things to do. I mean, obviously, food sampling is one of the big things to do at a show like that, but not much more. One person flagged me down and said, "Hey, you want to wash your hands?" And I went, "Okay." He had a machine. You stuck your hands into it. And he said, here's what it does. 6 seconds of soap and water, and then 6 seconds of water, and then you pull them out and you dry them. It's for like food service and things like that. And I thought, well, that's kind of cool. So I did that. And I guess that was the most memorable interactive that I had. And it's certainly for a very specific use. So anyway, along with the VR didn't seem to draw much of a crowd. There were certainly a few that I saw people sitting at and took some pictures of people looking around in space with their VR goggles on. All right, so, I did notice, I want to mention this. Both days that I was there 2 out of the 3 days. The beer was being served by 3:30. Now, the floor closes at 5, but they were serving beer at a number of booths at 3:30. Nothing wrong with that, I guess. So from my standpoint, from a marketing standpoint, I didn't take too many books. And what I do is they're way down there. I give away copies of my book, or I offer to do that. I said, hey, and people will sometimes flag me down, and then I'll talk to them, and they'll ask, because my badge for some reason this time had Trade Show Guy right across the top. I was a guest of Maduri Farms. Maduri was a client of ours. We did a booth for them last year. They set it up this year, went flawless. It was great. Good to hear all that. And if you want to check the blog, you can find pictures of it. Really, really cool booth. But so people will get into a conversation, and I'll offer to give them a copy of my book, and I take a few just in case some people want it then. But I say, I'll send it to you. That does a couple things. One, they don't have to worry about carrying it from the booth to their hotel to the airport and all that stuff, even though it's a small thing. The other thing is that in a few weeks they'll get something from me that reminds them that some guy came by, some goofball came by and offered to give them a free book. I'm like, oh yeah, that guy. And I'll have a business card in there and all that sort of thing. So I gave away 10 copies. I got another 45 I'm going to mail out. So for a couple of days of walking the show floor, that's not a bad outcome in my opinion. So I'll have people to follow up with on that. And I did mention the fact that we had Maduri Farms. They're very pleased with their booth, so that was good. Las Vegas, yeah. What can I say? I was not a big fan of Las Vegas ever. 115 degrees or so for the high when I was there. I don't gamble. That's of no interest to me. I did go see the Beatles Love Cirque du Soleil, which was a ton of fun. Even with the discounted ticket and a pretty good seat, it was still over $100, but well worth it. It was great. I'm a Beatle fan. I grew up with that stuff. I got to experience Beatlemania in real time as an 8, 9, and 10-year-old, so it was pretty cool. I did meet with a couple of people that are, I guess one was an industry colleague. I got to meet with Anders Bullinger, I think that's how you pronounce his name. Anders, great guy from the Infotainers. I met him and some fellow presenters for dinner one night, and then after that connected for a drink with Russ, a publisher down there, a fellow member of the Shankminds Mastermind Group, publisher of Q Live in Vegas, and we had a fun time getting to know each other for half an hour, 45 minutes, and he lives right there, right off the strip in Vegas, so that was kind of easy to do. I do want to throw in some trade show tips, like I do on every podcast/blog. Trade show tips, what not to do in a trade show booth as a trade show staffer. These are the activities that kind of keep people from stopping. Like number one, eating. People don't want to interrupt you when you're eating. They don't want to talk to you. So Talking on the phone, ignoring the passerby. Sitting at the laptop, ignoring the passersby. Talking with a colleague, ignoring the passersby. Or start in on a pitch with someone that stops at your booth without even finding out if the person's a potential customer. By the way, I saw all of these at the IFT in Vegas. People in booths did all of these. They ate, they talked on the phone, they sat at their laptop ignoring people, they talked with a colleague ignoring people, and more than once I would stop and I would be pitched on their product or service. They didn't have any idea who I was. They didn't ask a question like, what is your position? What do you do? May I interest you in? So some of the things to do in a booth as a trade show staffer: smile and greet attendees. Stand with your arms at your side, not crossed, near the edge of the booth. Have a good question to ask people that engages them. Ask people, perhaps, if they'd like to try a sample if you've got one. Offer to tell the company's or product's story or pitch without first just diving in. By the way, I did see all of those at IFT as well. So yes, there were some people that could use some brushing up, and there were some people that were doing just a fine job. Trade show marketing is not rocket science, but having the presence of mind to be aware of people as they walk by is just common sense. Not chatting on the phone in the booth, which tells the attendee that whoever on the phone is much more important than someone right next to you in the booth, by gosh. That's not hard to do. Now, I understand sometimes you got to take a phone call, but if you are going to do that, try and find someone to, if you're the only person in the booth and you got to take the call, you got to take the call. I get that. But if there's 2 or 3 or more people in the booth, step outside the booth, walk down the aisle a little bit, and take the call. That way you're not looking like you're ignoring people while you're in the booth. So I think that about wraps up our short podcast this week. I should have a guest next week and possibly the following week. I actually got 2 planned over the next 3 weeks, so I'm not sure how they're going to fall, but we'll see. That'll be kind of fun. We're going to be discussing software and apps and other things that make it easier for exhibitors and show organizers. And to finish off the Trade Show Guy Monday Morning Coffee podcast for July 3rd, one good thing, back and forth from the show in Vegas, I was reading Al Franken's new book. I got it for my birthday earlier last month, Giant of the Senate. About halfway through, it's really quite enjoyable, and it's really funny, no matter what your politics. And the first third of the book is interesting. A great history from his perspective of the early years of Saturday Night Live. I knew he was there, but I didn't realize he spent so much damn time there at Saturday Night Live, like 15 years out of the first 20 years. I think he went there for 5 or 10, then went away for 5, came back. The stories in there is really quite fascinating. And then to learn about the way he made his decision to run for Senate in Minnesota, where he grew up, the details of the campaign, which was one of the closest in history. Really fascinating reading, and he's a good writer too. So Al Franken's book, Giant of the Senate, is the one good thing this week. Have yourself a great week.